Travis's POV. After hearing the trembling fear in Alyssa's voice, there was no way I was letting Charlie pick her up tonight. I had to go myself to make sure she was okay. I knew if I was waiting at home, I would constantly be worrying myself sick thinking about her. "I can feel her," Clayton said inside my mind as I pressed my foot harder onto the gas pedal. I had to get to my mate as soon as I could without endangering lives on the way. "She's so scared, Travis. I feel nauseous thinking about it." "I know, Clay," I said in response to my wolf. The fury began boiling inside me. "I feel her too. I need to be with her and know she is safe in my arms." "Hurry, Travis," Clayton said, his voice more serious than I had heard in a long time. I could sense his concern for our mate too, which made me want to drive as fast as I could to get to Alyssa. Concentrating on the road ahead, I sped faster down the quiet roads. As I became closer to the Darkheart Pack house, I could feel my heart rapidly pounding in my chest. "I'm coming, Alyssa," I said out loud. "Be brave for me." Screeching to a halt in front of the pack house, it was then I saw Derek Charlton, his hands on Alyssa in an attempt to hurt her. He had grabbed her arm and held it behind her back, and I heard her scream in pain. Hearing the scream sent me over the edge. A flame ignited and burned inside me, and leaving the car as fast as I could, I sped over to where Derek handled Alyssa so violently. "Get your hands off Alyssa now," I yelled at Derek, my voice commanding as my eyes burned into him, "or you will answer to the king." Derek failed to remove his grip on Alyssa, and as my eyes met hers, I could see the terror inside her. This fueled me further, and leaping forward, I grabbed Derek's wrist and twisted it. Derek cried out in pain, releasing his grip on Alyssa instantly, and the harder I twisted, he began to weaken. His legs crumbled, and Derek fell to the ground onto his knees with a crack. "Alyssa, my darling," I said, breathing through my anger. "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" My voice had softened as our gaze met again. "No," she shook her head as her voice trembled. I knew she was lying to not worry me. "Please get in the car," I said, my eyes begging. "I will deal with Derek and then take you home." I paused. "I'll bring you bag. Just get yourself to safety." Alyssa, without hesitation, ran to my car and jumped into the passenger. I heard her lock the door as a precaution. Good girl. She knew to keep safe. I released the grip from Derek's wrist and watched him rise to his feet. He cowered slightly, but tried to attempt to threaten me with his intense gaze. "You know that's not how to treat a lady," I said, clenching and releasing my fingers, "especially one as special as Alyssa." "What do you want with Alyssa?" Derek asked with a soft growl. "She's my mate. I claimed her." I smirked. "Alyssa is mine now," I paused. "Perhaps if you treated her as your mate with love and care, then she would still be yours." "I don't know what you mean," Derek grunted. "I'm nothing but loving toward Alyssa. I give her everything." "You should reconsider that thought," I said. "Don't come near Alyssa ever again, by order of your king." Derek backed off and remained silent after those words, but his eyes remained firmly on me. Turning on my heel, I walked back to the car. My eyes were on Alyssa still sitting in the passenger seat, and I could see the tears forming in her eyes. I wanted nothing more than to hold her right, to tell her she is safe, and make sure she felt loved. "Nice job," Clayton said with a smug tone to his voice. "You showed that bastard. He's going to get what he deserves. I'll get everyone I need to involve to make sure he is stripped of his alpha status." I said in response to my wolf, "But first I need to get Alyssa home." Opening the trunk, I carefully placed Alyssa's luggage inside the car. I took a quick glance at Derek, who was still standing in the same spot, his eyes on me. I ignored him now. He wasn't my priority. I made my way around to the driver's side and got inside. "You're safe now," I husked as I connected my gaze to the beauty beside me. "Alyssa, are you sure you aren't hurt?" "I'm fine, honestly." She smiled warmly, and I felt myself relax somewhat. "I'm so glad you arrived when you did. I could be seriously hurt by now." I nodded, starting the car engine. I didn't want to think about what Derek could have done to Alyssa if I hadn't gotten here in time. I tried to remove the image from my mind. Pulling the car away from the curb, I decided to take the drive a lot slower than when I arrived. I wasn't in such a panic, but I was eager to get Alyssa home as quickly as I could. My mind would be at ease knowing she was safe under my roof with my guards on constant watch. "Thank you, Travis," Alyssa said with a pause. I knew her eyes were on me as I concentrated on the road. She placed her hand gently on my thigh, and I felt my cheeks flush warm as my pulse raced with excitement. Don't sweat it, I said, trying to hide my thrill of her touch. It's my duty to keep you safe. Of course, Alyssa said as she squeezed my leg tightly. I just didn't imagine Derek would take to such extremes so quickly. We really do need to be cautious, don't we? Yes, we do, I said, swallowing thickly from the thrilled sensation of Alyssa's touch. Derek is unpredictable, and we have to be alert at all times. I plan on tripling my security at home while you're there. I will do everything to protect you. Shooting Alyssa a quick glance, I smiled toward her. Her smile in return caused my heart to alight with flames. This wasn't the plan. I couldn't have such strong feelings for Alyssa Richardson, but I couldn't help it. She makes me feel incredible, I said to Clayton, as though I'm dancing on air whenever she looks at me. Is this love? I feel it too, Clayton said in return. Alyssa really is special, isn't she? More so than we ever realized. I want to do everything to keep her safe, Clay, I said, gripping my fingers onto the steering wheel tightly. But I need to play this cooler, to back off a bit. I can't let Alyssa know how I feel. Alyssa's POV. There was a strange atmosphere in the car between us, and I could feel the anger seething from Travis. It was obvious why he was so mad. Of course, Derek had overstepped a mark, but I wanted the Alpha King to relax now. Are you okay? I asked, trying to break the silence after noticing Travis tighten his fingers around the steering wheel. His jaw clenched tightly as his burning eyes focused on the road ahead. I'm fine, you know. Now I'm with you, I'm safe at last. I wanted to reassure the king I wasn't going anywhere now I was under his watch. Travis never removed his eyes from the road, but he didn't ignore me. I know, he said quietly. I just want to get you home where I know you're safe for sure. Out here it's still unpredictable. Sure, I said. A coldness washed over me, feeling a little like a prisoner now. It didn't help that the Alpha King had become so cold toward me. As though Travis had put up a wall between us all of a sudden. I had to admit it was difficult seeing Travis this way, angry and distressed. I couldn't deny there were some feelings forming there, and I just wanted to embrace him, to hold Travis tightly and reassure him that everything would be okay, but I couldn't let him know I held these feelings for him. Not now. We're here, Travis said, pulling into the driveway of his familiar home. This place felt more comforting to me than the dark Heartpack home now, which alleviated any fears of me being a prisoner. This is where I wanted to be. I knew this home wasn't full of lies and deceit. At least the lies here with Travis were ones I was involved in. That's all our relationship was after, lies and deceit towards others, as long as we needed to prove we were a couple. As I entered the home, the lights had been dimmed and it felt cozy. The fireplace in the living room roared, and it was the first place I went to. I felt a shiver through my core, and feeling the heat from the fire was an instant comfort. It's cold out there tonight, I said, making small talk to Travis. Join me by the fire. I want to show you to your room, Travis said, dismissing me, his eyes not meeting me like they usually did. What had come over him? He had become distant all of a sudden. Perhaps Derek's actions had affected him more than I had realized. I followed Travis up the white marble staircase and down the hallway. He didn't say anything to me, and the silence between us felt awkward. Whenever we were together, the conversation came so easily. I felt like we could talk about anything, no matter how silly it was. I realized I hadn't been upstairs in Travis' house before. I had only seen a few rooms downstairs on my visits. Travis stopped in his tracks and pushed open a nearby door. This is your room, he paused. I'll get Charlie to bring your luggage up. He said coldly still. You're free to go where you please in the house, and don't feel like you have to talk to me. His eyes met mine quickly before breaking off again. The warmth in his gaze had disappeared, and I felt my chest ache with sadness. I loved the way the Alpha King had looked at me, with such excitement and intrigue toward me. But that had gone. His eyes were stone cold. We just need to get through a year, he continued. We just need to act like a couple in public, hand-holding and a kiss on the cheek every now and then. He paused to meet my gaze once more. Don't worry, nothing more. I understand, I said flatly, disappointment in my voice. We just have to get through a year, I repeated his words. It's not that long, really. Travis nodded. Exactly, and then you're free to leave and go back to your old human life. I smiled weakly. I don't know what I expected. Travis was only acting out what we agreed to. I guess it was really hitting me now what our contract entailed. Was I expecting more? What did I want? For Travis to confess his feelings for me, the same as I was trying so hard to push aside. How stupid. Thank you, Travis, I said. I'll get myself settled for the night and see you tomorrow. Yes, Travis smiled, but it wasn't the usual gesture he showed me. We have an event to attend tomorrow evening. Be sure you're ready. An event? So soon? I asked, panic filling me. I had nothing to wear. What kind of event, Travis? It's nothing huge, Travis responded nonchalantly. A friend of mine is opening a bookstore and I promised I would attend the big day. He paused. No doubt the press will be there when they realize I will be in attendance. It's my big chance to show you off. I have nothing to wear. I don't even think I packed anything special, I said with panic once again. Don't worry, Alyssa, Travis said with a slight smile. I've got you covered. He shifted his eyes ahead, breaking our gaze once more. Now I need an early night. Today has been a lot. You should get some rest too. Watching Travis leave my side, I felt my stomach turn with nerves. I entered the room and closed the door behind me. Switching the light on, I gasped at the beauty of this room. It was like something out of a fairy tale, a cream and black decor with a large crystal chandelier hanging from the ceiling which caused the room to sparkle. The bed was the biggest bed I had ever seen in my life, with a plush black bedding set and silk scatter cushions sitting on the top. Wow, I said in a whisper. Wow! I feel like a princess. I went over to the bed and plonked myself onto it. I released a blissful sigh as my body sunk into the soft mattress, and I laid back onto the bed. It wasn't long before I felt my eyes begin to close. The events of the past few days caught up with me, and I drifted off into a comfortable sleep. Travis's POV. A little cold back there, Your Highness, Clayton said in my mind as I paced up and down the living room. I feel like your treatment of Alyssa was a little uncalled for. She's our mate now. You would do well to treat her as such. It was dark outside, but the lights from the garden illuminated my favorite bed of flowers, which had become somewhat of a comfort to me. Especially the bluebells. Those were my mother's favorite flower. Mother loved to plant those bluebells, I said, distracting myself from the pain I felt inside. I miss her incredibly. Indeed, Clayton added. She was a great woman, but let's get back to the matter of why you treated Alyssa so unfavorably. I know, I replied with a sigh, knowing Clayton would bring this up as soon as he did. I regret being so standoffish with Alyssa, but I don't know what else to do. How do you mean? Clayton asked with an inquisitive tone. I know your feelings for the girl, because I feel them too. We share these emotions, remember? You can't hide them from me. Yeah, I laughed. Nothing got past my wolf. He was smarter than I was at times. You're always poking around in my mind. I paused as I took another gaze out of the window, stopping my steady pacing. All I know is that I think I'm falling in love with Alyssa. This wasn't part of the plan. You think you're falling for her? Clayton asked. I know you are. I know you have, silly boy. Why deny it? After all, she is our mate. I can't get close, I said, thinking this reason was obvious. I only get a year with Alyssa, and after that she's gone. It will break my heart to lose her. Clayton growled softly in my mind. I know, he paused. I feel so protective of Alyssa. Whenever she is around us, my senses are on overdrive. Making sure there's no danger around that could hurt her. It kills me inside to think she could ever be harmed. It came close earlier tonight, didn't it? With Derek, I said, feeling the anger begin to boil inside as I recalled the events of Derek making an attempt to hurt Alyssa. I don't want to have to witness that upset on her face ever again. Her eyes were full of torture. Believe me, I was ready to unleash myself and rip that wolf a new asshole, Clayton growled, this time not softly as before, but deep and threatening. I could feel his anger matching mine as we both remembered how Alyssa came so close to being hurt. The stronger this bond deepens, the more it will hurt if Alyssa is pursued any longer by Derek Charlton, I said, clenching my fingers into fists until I felt the pain of the pressure. We need to do all we can to prevent anything else happening like that. Clayton huffed. There's no easy way to say this, Travis. But Derek will be back and stronger. He will be far more determined. The more we fight him off, the more dangerous he will become. We have to prepare ourselves for that. Do you think, I asked, a frown furrowing my brow, do you think my threats were not enough to stop him? Not with the strength of a wolf who has had everything taken away from him, Clayton said. Even though the mated bond has been broken, Derek is an alpha who has been humiliated and had his love stolen away from me. He will be back. The harder we fight, the harder Derek will return, I asked. I had read about the power of mated bonds before, but never experienced it. The very idea of my Alyssa being in harm's way, her life threatened, caused my blood to boil. My skin ran cold. I knew I had to try everything I could to protect my love. I can feel my blood rising, thinking about Derek coming back to hurt our mate, Clayton said, his voice husked. I felt the pain in his mind at the thought, what can we do? I'll do anything to make sure Alyssa is safe. I will make sure Alyssa has eyes on her the entire time, I said without hesitation. I had all this planned out already. In the house, a warrior will be outside her bedroom, someone in every room to keep a watchful eye on anyone trying to get to her. I paused. My heart began to pound as I made an attempt to push any violent thoughts about Alyssa being harmed to the back of my mind. And when Alyssa leaves the house without us, perhaps we have an appointment where her company isn't welcome or required, Clayton asked, his tone suggesting he was desperate for an answer. He wanted to know the entire plan so his mind could rest assured that Alyssa would be safe at all costs. I didn't blame him. When Alyssa leaves the home alone, I will assign a warrior to keep close by, not enough to ruin her trips or infiltrate her personal space, but just enough to keep a watchful eye and be prepared for Derek, I paused. Or any member of the Dark Heart Pack. We don't know who Derek could recruit. Travis! A voice calling behind me attracted my attention. I broke my conversation from my wolf and turned to the familiar sound. My very best friend. Henry, I returned the greeting. A warm smile formed on my lips as the sight of my trusted beta. A lifelong friend of mine, we had grown up together from a young age. Henry was the person I trusted most in the entire world, aside from my wolf. I came here as quick as I could, Henry said, racing toward me. He outstretched his arms and pulled me in for a tight embrace. I'm glad you're safe. What happened? The Dark Heart Pack, I said to Henry as we released from the embrace. As Henry stepped backwards slightly, his long blonde hair shook with his movement, and his brilliant blue eyes shimmered with curiosity. Their alpha leader, Derek Charlton, has overstepped the mark. I paused with a long exhale. Let me start from the beginning. I knew, before I asked Henry to help me protect Alyssa from the dangers surrounding her, I had to bring him up to speed with the story so far. Derek's POV. Get off me, I growled viciously, pushing the doctor away from me. I'm fine. No, you're not, Derek, the doctor responded, firmly pinning my chest to keep me from moving from the chair. His attempt was pathetic. No one could hold me down. Just let me examine you, and then you may go. Keep your hands off me, I said firmly, my eyes burning into his. Before my wolf tears your throat out. Idle threats will not help you, the doctor said. I could hear the strain in his voice as he was beginning to lose the battle of outstrengths. It won't take long. I just need to be sure you're in good health. Where is Alyssa? I asked, spitting my words. I need to know where my mate is. I have no idea, Derek, the doctor responded, seemingly having no care for Alyssa. He was focused on seeing to me. She is not important right now, he said with a struggle. It was these words which angered me the most. How dare this man deem my mate unimportant? How can he care so little for Alyssa, the future Luna of the Dark Heart Pack? I asked Nova inside my mind. He disgusts me. It was then I mustered all my strength and pushed the doctor away. Using so much force, he staggered backwards and fell into a stand which displayed a plant. The pot tippled and smashed onto the ground. The soil smeared against the clean white floor of the medical examination room. I warned you. I growled, my eyes still burning into the doctor. Now leave me alone. I am fine. The panicked look on the doctor's face was enough to tell me he had gotten the hint now. Scrambling to his feet, he dashed out of the office without taking a look back at me. The message was clear to him now that his alpha was not to be toyed with. Derek? A faint, familiar voice sounded through the door. You're here! Haley rushed through the door, paying no attention to the mess of soil and broken plants on the ground. She leaped to my side as I stood on my feet, wrapping her arms around my bare torso. I was so worried about you. I left as soon as I could before Alyssa saw me at your home. I felt the anger boil inside me. So many emotions were infecting my brain right now. I didn't know whether to fuck or hit Haley, possibly both. That little bitch betrayed me, I said under a staggered breath. She's abandoned me, broken our mated bond, and now she belongs to another. The alpha king of all people. What does he want in a little shrew like her? Haley blinked, looking up at me with her big, beautiful eyes. She took a step back as she released her embrace from around me. Surely that's a good thing, Derek, she paused, studying my form. It's an easy release, and it means we can be together at last, live the life we dreamed about. You don't know what you're talking about. I said cruelly, all you think about is yourself. No, Haley exclaimed, I'm thinking about you and me, and how with Alyssa out of the picture, we can carry on our lives together without any worries. Haley fell to her knees and gripped onto the leg of my jeans. Don't you see? This is perfect for us. A smirk formed on my lips, but I wasn't happy. I was just amused by how desperate Haley appeared right now. You're pathetic, I said coldly. Look at you, like a beggar on the street, as puny and pointless as a worm. Derek, Haley exhaled my name with a shudder. Tears formed in her eyes. How can you be so cruel toward me? Don't you love me anymore? If you carry on like this, acting as pathetic as you are, I said with a pause, my eyes looking down on her in her weakness, I won't love you any longer. You're not fit to be my Luna in this state. The tears began to fall from Haley's eyes, but I remained cold toward her. I knew what I was doing. I had to push her as far as I could go and see how loyal this woman was. You know I need to marry Alyssa to get what I want. The riches, the status, the power, they all need to be mine. I paused, watching Haley sob harder at my feet. Now she is straying further away from me. I have to reel Alyssa back in and make her realize I am the one she wants and needs. But surely the power of love, our love is far more important than riches and status. Haley paused, her eyes shimmering with tears as she looked up at me. We can be together without any consequences. You're a fucking idiot, I said, laughing cruelly. A cackle escaped me. Love means nothing to me unless I have wealth and power. What's the point in love when you can't have a life to enjoy it? What are you saying, Derek? Haley asked, her fingers gripping tighter onto the fabric of my jeans. That you would rather have the money and power over loving me? Something like that. I felt my words hurting her, and I began to soften. Perhaps I had gone too far. This wasn't how the plan was meant to form. I had to keep Haley on my side to get the thing I wanted ultimately. Be nice, Derek, Nova whispered in my mind. We need both Alyssa and Haley on our side in this. We want both women. Don't push this one away too. You're right, I said with a husk in return to my wolf. I'm being too hard on Haley. I need to relax a little. Leaning down, I helped Haley to her feet before sitting back down on the chair. I'm so sorry, my love, I whispered as I pulled Haley onto my lap, wrapping my arms around her. I don't know what came over me. Please forgive me. Do you love me? Haley asked, leaning into my fingers as I stroked her face. Please tell me you love me, Derek. Her gentle voice trembled. Of course I love you, I replied. More than anything, I pulled Haley toward me. Our lips met, and I kissed her as gently as I could. I had to keep Haley on my side, just until I had Alyssa back where I needed her. Alyssa's POV. I was seething. Reading the message on my phone, it was the last thing I had expected or needed right now. The message was from Haley, who was once my best friend. Hey love, it's been a while, but I wondered if you would like to meet for a coffee and a catch-up today? Our usual place at 1 p.m. Miss you loads XX. The words felt so false as I read them inside my head. How could Haley have the conscience to act so friendly toward me after what her and Derek had done behind my back? I wanted to meet with her, as angry as it would make it. As much as I never wanted to see Haley's deceitful face again, I wanted to confront her and see how far she would go in acting like a friend to me. I returned the message with a quick, "Sure, see you soon," purposely not as friendly as our message exchanges used to be. I didn't have it in me to act kind and warm toward her. She was no longer my best friend. "Where are you going?" Travis asked as I was about to leave through the front door. "I would appreciate it if you told me you were leaving at any point." "You're making me feel a bit like a prisoner now, Travis," I said with a frown furrowing my brow. "But if you must know, I'm going to meet a friend for coffee in town." "Okay," Travis said with a huff. "Which friend?" "That's none of your business," I said sharply. "I agreed to be your mate through a contract, and this contract said nothing about you knowing all of my business." "I'm sorry, Alyssa," Travis said, softening his tone. "I'm just worried about you running into Derek again. I'm concerned about you." I felt myself soften as well. The wall I was building between us was becoming too high at times, and I knew I had to relax a little. "I'm sorry too," I said with apology in my voice. "I just don't want to be controlled, like Derek demanding to know my every move." Travis nodded. Leaning forward, he took my hand softly. Gazing into his eyes, I became lost in them as I felt his thumb run gently over the back of my hand. "My intentions are only for your safety, I promise." He paused. "You don't have to tell me who you are meeting, but whenever you leave the house, I will always have one of my warriors keeping an eye on you, just in case you run into anyone untoward. I don't want a repeat of the encounter with Derek Charlton." "So now I'm being spied on?" I asked. The anger boiled inside me again. Someone watching my every move? I didn't agree with Travis. I wanted to leave for good and not return. I felt as though my privacy was longer my own, that I would have someone's eyes on me at all times. "I feel like you're going a bit overboard with the protection, and it feels a bit creepy." "Alyssa," Travis exhaled, grabbing my hand tighter. "I promise you won't notice anyone there. My warriors will be so far away they won't hinder or ruin your plans." "Very well," I said with a relaxed tone. I could understand Travis's point of view. He was only looking out for me and wanting me to stay safe. "I shall see how today goes, and if I feel any discomfort, I will be reporting back to you." "Of course." Travis nodded with a warm smile, and his eyes glistened as he gazed into mine. "I want you to tell me at any point if you're not comfortable. Your well-being is my priority." I nodded. "Thank you, Travis. I shall be careful." Leaning in, I placed a gentle kiss on his cheek. I felt my chest flutter with excitement as my lips touched his skin. Inhaling his scent gently, the smell of his cologne hit my senses, and my stomach tumbled with delight. "Have a good time with your friend." He paused. "Do I know them?" A smile formed on the corner of my mouth. Travis was trying his very best to get this information out of me, but I knew as soon as I said it was Derek's piece on the side, he would not allow me to get involved. So I gave little information. "Just one of my best friends from the Dark Kingdom." I paused. "I doubt you know them. It's been a while since we caught up." I wasn't lying. Everything I said there was the truth. I just left Haley's identity unknown. A thought crossed my mind, though. I knew full well, now that Travis had marked me, he could read my thoughts, get inside my head and see who I was with. I just knew this would be the test on how much he respects my privacy. Had he already been inside my head and seen who I was meeting? Not being a wolf myself, I couldn't sense the connection, like I would if we were both werewolves. I had to trust Travis now. "At least let me call Charlie to drive you into town," Travis said with sincerity in his voice. "It would ease my mind somewhat, knowing you would be taken care of on your journey." I laughed. It was incredibly sweet how much the Alpha King cared about my safety. And I loved Charlie. He was a good guy. So I agreed. "Okay, sure." I said, "I'll get a ride from Charlie, no problem." I paused with a smile. I might even buy him a coffee to go. Travis laughed. "I'm sure Charlie would love that. He really likes you, you know." "I really like him too," I said, squeezing Travis's hands. "But I'll be okay, I promise." I didn't have to wait long for Charlie to bring the car around to me. Hopping in the back, I told him where I wanted to go. It wasn't long before we reached the street I was so familiar with. This coffee spot was somewhere Haley and I had visited many times during our friendship. I thanked Charlie and left the car. He made sure that I would message when I was ready to come home. He would park around the corner and wait for me. Standing at the front door of the coffee place, I took a deep breath as the nerves began to hit me. This was the first time I had spoken to Haley properly, since finding out about her affair with my mate, and I felt sick wondering how I would react initially. But I wanted to keep as cool as I could at the moment. Entering the building, the place was exactly as I had remembered it, despite not being there for a while. It wasn't busy, and I spotted Haley instantly. She waved at me with a friendly smile, and I felt my blood begin to boil with the anger, but managed to remain calm for now. "Hey," I said, setting my handbag down at the side of the chair as I sat down. "It's been a while," I said, almost through gritted teeth as I remained polite and friendly. Inside, I wanted to reach over and slap Haley around her deceitful, false smiling face, but I knew violence isn't the answer right now. "It has," Haley said cheerfully. Her pretty eyes glistened with the excitement of seeing me. "I've missed our chats," she paused. "You'll need to catch me up with everything going on in your life, Lise." Haley's POV. "It's so great to see you." I couldn't help but beam when I looked into Alyssa's eyes. So many happy memories rushed back as I recalled the best times we had in our friendship. I hoped that Alyssa still had no clue about Derek and I and how we had gone behind her back. I knew it was wrong what we did, and were still doing, but I needed to patch things up with Alyssa if I could. Alyssa didn't reply. Instead, she made a neutral, humph sound which did not fill me with confidence. Her once bubbly personality, the light in her eyes, and the glowing effect of her beautiful, warm smile were no longer there. I scrambled to think of a past memory, one that we could both share and enjoy the thought of once more. "Do you remember when we first met?" I asked, my smile widening. "Finding out you were human, I was so disappointed in Derek's choice for you as his mate." I paused, Alyssa's eyes wandering around the walls as she appeared disinterested. "But you sure proved me wrong, didn't you, Lise?" I laughed playfully, extending my hand out to hers, but she pulled away hastily. "Turns out you humans aren't so bad after all. We quickly became the best of friends. You're the best human I've ever encountered." "Sure," Alyssa responded, her eyes cold on me. "Best friends never lie to one another, do they, Haley?" "Of course not, Lise," I responded, my voice shaking with nerves. What an odd thing to say, unless... "Can we get an order, please?" Alyssa asked the waitress who passed by, a stern tone to her voice. I could tell she was becoming impatient. "The place isn't even busy. Why is the service so slow today?" "This isn't like Lise at all," I said to my wolf, Silk. "What's with her? She never gets impatient like this. It's as though this isn't even Alyssa, as though she has been replaced with someone else." Silk chuckled. "She knows, you know." The elegant face of the snow-white wolf entered my mind. Her golden eyes shimmered as she spoke. "Surely that's obvious. If Alyssa was happy to see you, she wouldn't have any suspicions." "Know what, Silk?" I asked, responding to her with curiosity while my eyes still remained on Alyssa. "Do you mean about me and Derek? She can't know. That's impossible. She's going to marry him." "Yes, you idiot. About you and Derek?" Silk said with a matter of fact. "What else would make Alyssa this angry?" "You think she's angry?" I asked with worry. That wasn't my intention at all. "I don't want Lise to be mad at me. Surely she will understand that we were destined. But I feel terrible now. Perhaps I should break it off with Derek after all." "No," Silk cried in my mind, causing me to jump slightly. "We are meant to be with Derek. He is our fated mate. It's clear to see. Don't you dare mess this up between you two." The gentle growl which simmered after her words frightened me a little. "How do you know?" I asked. "We haven't had the blessings from the moon goddess after all." "Haley," Alyssa said my name, breaking my attention from the conversation in my mind. I blinked, noticing the waitress standing at our table, her pen hovering above her notepad as her eyes gazed into me. "What are you ordering?" "What are you having?" I asked Alyssa with a smile. We used to always order the same thing wherever we went. I watched as Alyssa rolled her eyes. "For God's sake, can't you make your own mind up?" Taken aback, I felt a frown furrow on my brow. I felt that comment a little unnecessary. "Vanilla latte for me, please," I directed at the waitress. "Thanks, sweetie." The waitress smiled with a wink. "I'll be right over with your drinks." "I think she likes me," I laughed, my words shaking as I hoped to lighten the mood. Alyssa fell silent. I watched as she pulled out her phone and began to tap on the screen as though she was messaging. It was kind of rude for her to be so antisocial toward me. Surely I should have her full attention at the moment. This isn't like Alyssa at all, I said to Silk. Usually she would have found that so funny, someone checking me out, I paused. Who is more important on the other end of her phone to take her away from her best friend? She knows, Silk responded. I can guarantee it. Look at her behavior. She isn't interested in us now. Alyssa could be here on her own for all she cared. But Alyssa is my best friend. I said firmly to my wolf, I don't want to lose her. I need to find a way to make this better. But how to bring it up? Silk exhaled deeply. Should have thought about that before you started opening your legs to Derek, No matter what, regardless of Derek being your fated mate, there would always be consequences with Alyssa. You just have to decide who is more important, Alyssa or Derek. With a pout, I ignored that last comment from my wolf and turned my attention back to Alyssa. So what's going on in your life? I asked. I heard your wedding to Derek Charlton was postponed due to your accident. I paused. I tried to call, but I don't want to talk about it, Alyssa said. It's done with now. Derek and I are putting the wedding on a break at the moment. The accident was too stressful. Lise, do you need to talk about anything? I asked with concern in my tone. You know I'm always here for you, don't you? No matter what you need. The waitress came over and placed the drinks in front of us. Enjoy, sweeties. Can I get this to go? Alyssa asked, attracting the waitress's attention again. A polystyrene cup or something will be fine. Of course, she responded, taking the cup away again. I'll be right back. You're leaving? Already? I asked, feeling disappointed that Alyssa barely spent any time with me. It had been such a long time since we had talked. I just wanted to be there for her. Did I do something wrong? Alyssa pushed her chair from the table as she stood up and reached for her bag. I have to go, that's all. She paused, her eyes on the waitress as though she was growing impatient again. See you around, I guess. Taking the cup from the waitress, she didn't even glance my way before she left. I watched as my best friend walked out of the door of the coffee shop without even a care toward me, not even a goodbye. I've fucked everything up, Silk, I said, cupping my hot cup of latte with my hands. I've lost my very best friend, and it's all my fault. Alyssa's POV. I can't believe the audacity of that girl, I said with complaint as I hurled myself into the back of the familiar black car, straight up lying to my face. Luckily, it hadn't taken Charlie long to respond to my message of coming round to pick me up from the coffee shop. I was done with Haley. I was only beginning to grow more frustrated with the filthy lies coming from her lips. I had lost all respect for Haley now, even pretending to think Derek and I had postponed the wedding. It made the bile rise in my throat. Why are people so shit, Charlie? I asked, my eyes set on the view from the black-tinted windows as he pulled the car from the curb to the road. I don't deserve friends like that. It's just the way of the world, miss, Charlie replied, his voice shaky as he spoke. But the bad is always balanced with the good. I'm a believer in the universe being balanced, you know? I smiled faintly. Charlie was old and set in his ways, but he was always a welcome face when I was feeling down. For some reason, Charlie made me feel so comfortable, like a granddad or older uncle I was close to. That feeling of family. I suddenly missed my family. It had been such a long time since I had seen them. After a year, I would be with them again. Did the meeting with your friend not go too well, Miss Alyssa? Charlie asked, his warm eyes glancing at me in the rear-view mirror. You did have a feeling it wouldn't. I pray you weren't right in thinking that. Unfortunately not, Charlie, I said with a huff, my eyes gazing back out of the window once more, watching as the buildings went by hypnotically. Have you ever had a friend hurt you so much? No amount of begging and sucking up would fix the problem? Yes, miss, I have. He paused. When you get to my age, you'll find there's a lot of people you used to call friends will turn on you and stab you in the back. I said in response. I wish these people would show their true colors earlier than they do. It would make life so much easier to get through. I couldn't deny that seeing Haley again upset me. I felt my heart breaking all over again. The person who I called a best friend in the Dark Kingdom, who had been there for me when I felt lost and needed some guidance. She was a stranger to me now, and I couldn't trust her. I have lost my trust in everyone here now. It's always a lesson I made sure Travis learnt, miss, Charlie said, breaking my thoughts of Haley. To never trust someone fully, you never know when they will turn on you. I had come to realize I knew very little about the Alpha King's background or his life story, so I was intrigued to what Charlie had to say. Has Travis had similar people mess him around? I asked with curiosity in my voice. I imagined being the king, he would have to choose his friends carefully. Indeed, miss, Charlie said, his eyes meeting mine briefly again. Travis has had quite the responsibility from a young age after. He paused, shifting on his seat slightly. Well, I don't know if you're ever aware of this, miss. Aware of what, Charlie? I asked, eager to hear his words. It's not really my place to say, Charlie said, it being Travis' story and all, but I'm sure you'll find out eventually. You can tell me, I said. I won't say anything, I swear. I felt even more interested to hear about Travis now. Charlie couldn't leave me hanging like this. Charlie sighed. Very well. He paused to clear his throat once more. The young king's parents were unfortunately taken in an accident. Travis was quite young at the time, and as you can imagine, was left distraught. That's awful, I said, my heart breaking for Travis. I couldn't imagine how it would feel to lose my parents. Back when I lived with the humans, I was incredibly close to them, and I still spoke to them every week. Poor Travis. Indeed, miss, Charlie nodded and continued his story. His Aunt Rose, on his mother's side, was there to pick up the pieces, though, and she raised Travis as her own. Of course, Travis was far too young to take on the Alpha King role after the passing of his father, the former king. But Travis was next in line and had no choice. Yes, I said, my heart still aching for Travis. I can't imagine the responsibility he must have taken on so young. It would force someone to grow up quickly. Yes, Miss Alyssa, Charlie said, but he eventually got a good grasp of the role. Of course, as any young boy would in his early 20s, he would flaunt his status to get himself into clubs and impress the ladies. I found myself laughing. I definitely didn't know this side of Travis. But any woman would find Travis irresistible, whether he was the Alpha King or not. As I thought about Travis, my heart began to race and my face flushed with warmth. I felt the need to be with him now, to hold Travis, body against me, and kiss his lips ever so gently. I was falling for him, and knowing about his loss and the struggle he had to endure at such an early age, it made me proud of Travis. I needed him to know how proud I was. Is Aunt Rose alive? I asked Charlie. I haven't ever heard Travis mention her. She is very much alive, Charlie said, but she moved out of the stately home to her own cottage in the next village. He paused. The busy lifestyle was too much for her, and she wanted to settle somewhere quiet in her older years. That makes sense, I said with a nod. I imagine Rose had a lot to contend with, taking on a boy with such responsibilities. Indeed, miss, Charlie said again, but Rose always put her family first, especially Travis. She very much loves that boy. I think I do too. I said to myself in my mind, gazing out of the window again. I watched the trees rush by, and I knew we were nearly home now. The countryside was rolling by and we had left the city. I definitely love him. Travis's POV. I can't stop worrying about her, I said to Clayton inside my mind, pacing up and down the usual stretch of carpet in front of the patio doors. My favorite thinking spot. What if she's gotten herself into trouble? What if Derek has? Clayton chuckled. You really are having some strong feelings for Alyssa, aren't you? I've never seen you worry this much about anyone. I didn't reply to Clayton, my mind too distracted on the whereabouts of my mate. The worst thoughts circled my mind as I began to overthink each possible scenario of Alyssa having another violent encounter with Derek Charlton. Perhaps we could connect with Alyssa's mind? Now we have a mated bond. Her mark will allow us to read her thoughts and feelings. It may give us some indication of where she is, Clayton suggested, and I immediately felt strong anger toward his words. I am not invading Alyssa's privacy like that, I said firmly to my wolf. After all, Alyssa is not truly mine, remember? I would feel terrible to enter her mind if she didn't want it. With her being human, she wouldn't even know I was in there. I paused as I focused on the flowers outside. It's not fair on her. Humph, Clayton said with reply. Very well, be like that, but you won't get anywhere other than being sick with worry. Travis? The little familiar voice broke my conversation with Clayton. and my eyes shot to the doorway it came from. There stood Alyssa, standing elegant and stunning, and I felt my heart begin to race in my chest with excitement upon seeing her. "Alyssa!" I beamed, feeling the warmth and joy she brought me fill my entire body. "You're home. So soon? Did you have a good time?" "Yes, thank you," she returned a smile, and I watched her place her handbag down. "Are you all right, Travis? You seem a bit tense." I had no doubt my skin was pale, and the color left my face from worry. But now my body felt the warmth of knowing Alyssa was safe. I knew the color would return soon. "I was worrying about you," I said honestly to Alyssa. "I was overthinking slightly, and I got myself a little worked up thinking you could be in danger." Alyssa walked toward me, a smile shaped on her lips wider than before. "Of course I'm safe, Travis." She paused as she ran her fingers up my arm, and I felt my skin tremble from her touch. "You could have just read my mind. Now we have a mated bond. I know how this works, despite being a lowly human." I frowned, not pleased by Alyssa's words. "Please don't ever call yourself that again," I said, my voice cracking slightly. "Just because you're human, it doesn't make you any less than anyone else." I paused. "And besides, I know I can connect with your mind now, listen to your thoughts and feel your emotions, but I didn't want to." "Why?" Alyssa asked. "Scared of what you'll find in there?" She laughed. "Don't worry, I don't have anything to hide." "It's not that I'm scared," I said, trying not to react too much from her touch, despite Alyssa making me feel like I was in heaven with the way she caressed me. "I don't feel it's right to invade your privacy like that, especially when you're unable to return it. It's not fair for me to pry like that." "That's very admirable of you, Travis," Alyssa paused. "I appreciate the thought and concern you hold for me." "Of course," I returned in a near whisper. My body moved closer to Alyssa. I ran my finger over her soft cheek gently. "I would do anything for you, and I also respect you. Don't ever forget that." I paused to take a breath, fearing Alyssa was taking it away. "Did you notice my warrior today? I hope they didn't disturb you." "No, not at all," Alyssa said, shaking her head. "I noticed no one at all. Your warriors do a good job at concealing themselves. You were right." She paused, leaning her cheek into my touch. "But I felt safe knowing I was being watched. It felt like you were there keeping an eye on me." "I want to keep you safe, always," I responded gently as my breath staggered with exhale. "You're so important to me, Alyssa." Somehow, the way Alyssa looked at me changed all of a sudden. Her eyes seemed to gaze deeper into me, as though she was staring into my soul. Her cheeks became pinker in their shade, and her skin became warm under my touch. "Travis." She husked my name so gently. "You're the sweetest person I've ever met. Please don't ever change for no one. You're so different to most of the wolves I have met in the Dark Kingdom." I felt my heart race in my chest, pulsing beneath my ribs as though it was hammering to escape. I was so in love with Alyssa Richardson, and I wanted to kiss her, to feel her lips against mine. I ached to feel the warmth of her body against mine, to hold her in my arms as the kiss sunk deeper. But I knew I had to resist. This wasn't what our contract agreed on. It was all for show. Our relationship was not real. I just had to tell my mind to calm down and not get carried away with the feelings that had been developed. "Travis?" Alyssa spoke my name once more, this time a quiet whisper. Her eyes stared into mine, and I realized her hand had found its way to my hip and was grasping onto the fabric of my shirt tightly. "Please forgive me." It was then Alyssa leaned in and kissed me. Her soft, full lips had pressed against mine as her second hand pressed against my other hip as she pulled me in. This was everything I had dreamt of since I first caught sight of Alyssa that very day at the hospital. I had longed to feel her lips pressed against mine, and I didn't pull away from her. I needed Alyssa. I wanted to feel her entire body, to run my fingers over every inch of her. I wrapped my arms around her waist, pulling her deeper into me. The warmth of our bodies combined felt incredible, and as I pulled Alyssa's chest to mine, I could feel the thumping of her excited heartbeat against me. The kiss deepened, and my grip tightened on her back. This kiss was far more exhilarating than I could have ever imagined. Alyssa was pure bliss, and I never wanted to let her go. Alyssa's POV. I found myself allowing my hands to wander across Travis's body. My fingers grasped at the fabric of his shirt, feeling the hardened shape of his back muscles as the kiss grew deeper. I wanted him. Every part of me needed Travis. Both my heart and head were in sync, telling me to take this. I exhaled a small moan from beneath his lips, our mouths opening as our tongues roamed into one another's mouth. My knees grew weak, and I felt the trembling sensation between my legs as the arousal pulsated within me. Travis pulled me closer, and one hand ran up his back, across his neck, and my fingers grasped into his dark hair. This kiss was unbelievable, better than I could ever have imagined. I had fantasized about this moment for a while, and it was better than my fantasies. But I knew it was wrong. This wasn't our deal. The contract was simple, and it wasn't anything as intimate as this. I had to remove myself from this situation. "I'm so sorry, Travis." My breath staggered as I pulled away from the kiss, yet I found my hand still grasping around his hair, as though I didn't want to let him go. I don't know what came over me. My cheeks began to flush with warmth, and I knew I was blushing now. The embarrassment filled me, and I wanted the ground to swallow me up. I had made a complete fool of myself. Our eyes connected, his gaze burned into me so intensely. I just wanted to kiss Travis again. I needed to feel the sensation of his lips against me once more, and I found my mind begin to wander as I thought about how his perfect lips would feel against the skin of the rest of my naked body. "It's okay, Alyssa," Travis said gently back, his eyes still intense on mine, and I couldn't bear his gaze any longer. I broke our eye contact and looked down toward the ground as my face began to grow hotter by the second. Pulling away from Travis, my hands finally let him go and freed me from his alluring charm. "It won't happen again, I promise." I could sense the discomfort in Travis now, like tension had filled the room between us, and I managed to bring my eyeline back to his. I watched as Travis shifted awkwardly on his feet. "It won't happen again," he said, clearing his throat as his tone began more firm from the softness. "You know we don't need to be intimate in private, just for the public." "I know," I said with a slight tone of disappointment in my voice. "Call that a practice run." I laughed nervously, trying to make light of this awkward situation. "Indeed," Travis said. "Now that's over with, though. It won't need to happen again." He smiled weakly at me, and I knew he was trying to make me feel more comfortable right now, which I appreciated a lot. "Speaking of," Travis continued, "there's a small event tomorrow night I've been invited to. It could be a good way for us to dip our toes into this couple nonsense." He laughed, almost as nervously as I had. "What do you say? Shall we make it our first date?" "What kind of event?" I asked, and I wondered if it was the one he mentioned previously. "The bookstore your friend is opening?" Travis grinned, much less awkwardly now. "Yes," he beamed. "Well remembered, Alyssa, that's the one. Except," he paused and I listened intently, "she isn't a friend. I didn't know how to say at the time, but she is my auntie." "Oh," I smiled, trying not to make it obvious I knew how important Travis's auntie was to him. "And I looked forward to meeting her, your auntie." I paused. "Why did you hide that?" "I don't know," Travis replied with nerves in his voice. "I just figured you might not think me as cool if I said it was my auntie." I laughed, feeling at ease already. "Don't be silly, Travis. Family is important as much as friends." Travis nodded. "My Aunt Rose is one of the most important people in my life." He paused, and I wondered if this was going to be when Travis revealed his unfortunate, traumatic backstory to me. "And I would like to pay her a visit and see her new store. She always loved to read. I remember her house having so many books." "I can't wait to meet her," I said, not wanting to push for any information. "Travis would tell me when he is ready." Travis smiled and took my hand. "I can't wait for you to meet Rose either. She will love you." There was a moment of silence between us, our eyes locked onto one another again, and the connection I felt with Travis was insane. I had never felt anything like this before. Such a deep want to be with him all the time. Travis made me feel more alive than I had ever felt before. "So, you need to go buy something nice to wear," Travis said, clearing his throat again. "I'll give you some money tomorrow so you can go shopping. Charlie will take you." "Why don't you come with me instead?" I asked confidently. "You can help choose something for me, what you'd like to see me in." I watched as Travis's cheeks began to flush now at my proposal. "Sure," he stammered nervously. "I don't see why not." I smiled, trying to contain my excitement. This was one of the things that appealed to me with his contracted marriage. All the shopping I would get to do and outfits I'll get to wear. Growing up with little money, I never got to experience such luxuries in my human life. Well, shopping I can definitely do, I said, squeezing Travis's hand. I'm really excited for our first outing. People are going to go crazy when they see us together. They are, Travis said, returning my smile. I'll be so proud to have you on my arm, he paused. Just make sure you kiss me like that again. We'll have no problem selling it to the press. I felt my cheeks grow hot again, replaying the kiss in my head as the same thrills shot around my body and pulsated in my center. Anyway, Travis said quickly, possibly sensing my embarrassment once more. I'm going to have a bath. Feel free to make yourself completely at home. You don't have to stay confined in your room. This is your home now too, Alyssa. Thank you, Travis. I smiled as our hands separated. Enjoy your bath. I watched as Travis hastily left the room, and I heard him clamber the stairs quickly. I couldn't help but picture him slipping into the hot water of the bath, the water lapping his skin as he sunk deep into the luxurious bubbles and sweet aroma. Travis's POV. Sinking into the bath, the warm water covered me and I felt completely relaxed. Closing my eyes, I allowed my mind to wander and I immediately thought about Alyssa and the kiss. I relived the moment in my mind, Alyssa's soft lips pressed against mine. Her fingers dug into my hips as she grasped at the fabric of my shirt, how her breasts pushed against my chest and I felt her heart racing beneath. I wanted more, so much more. But we both knew this wasn't the reason we had this contracted marriage. The sooner the year was up, the better. Liar, Clayton said in my mind, absolute filthy lies. No one asked you, I responded to my wolf, my eyes still closed as I inhaled the sweet scent of the aroma around me. Leave your shiny nose out of this. You claim to not want Alyssa, but you do. You need her, I can feel it, Clayton said, and I was angry because I knew he was right. I hated when he was right. I can't stop thinking about that kiss, I responded with an exhale, enjoying the way the bath relaxed me more than usual. I needed it. I know, Clayton chuckled. I was there. I can read all of your thoughts. Dirty boy. A gentle growl simmered in his throat as he laughed again. It was perfect, Clayton, I said. Better than I had ever imagined. I can't stop thinking about her. What am I going to do? You have two choices. Travis, Clayton said, you can either confess your love for Alyssa and have the potential for a long and happy life together as a real couple. He paused. Or you can go through this next year without telling Alyssa how you feel. Watch her leave back to her old life and be miserable forever and die alone. I pouted. You have a way with words. I said, I can't handle the rejection, Clayton. What if I tell her and Alyssa shoots me down? That would make the next year awkward. She kissed you, Clayton said. I hardly think she finds you repulsive from her actions. I didn't say I was repulsive, I replied firmly, but I think Alyssa is confused and maybe caught up in the moment. What if Alyssa decides after a year she wants to stay? If she's in love with you, feelings could develop, Clayton said. He seemed to be covering all the bases today. That's something we will have to wait for. Alyssa has to make her own decision on that. I said, let's not worry about it right now. Thank the goddess, Clayton remarked. I'm tired of listening to all your teenage crush thoughts. It's torturous and mind-numbing, he chuckled. Thanks, Clayton, I replied with a smirk. You're a real pal. Now get lost, I want to relax. Clayton disappeared from my mind, and now I felt like I could fully relax. My mind began to wander on Alyssa again, that incredible kiss. But my imagination began to conjure up more, and I thought of a scenario where it didn't stop there. Ugh, I grunted. Not again, I complained. Alyssa always managed to stir this within me whenever she was around, and I couldn't do anything about it when she was there. But now I was alone, in my own private space. Perhaps I should do something about my frustration. Travis? Alyssa's soothing voice called my name. Alyssa, I whispered. Yes, baby, say my name again. Travis? She asked louder. In my mind, she was gasping my name in bliss. My fingers began to wander up the fabric of her top. Travis! Alyssa shouted, which awakened me from my fantasy. I realized Alyssa was standing outside of the bathroom door, calling my name. Alyssa! I called back, removing my hand from myself, and I began to panic. What's wrong? Is everything okay? Jumping out of the bath, I grabbed a towel and wrapped it around my waist before pulling the door open. What's happened? I panicked inside my mind. Has Derek gotten in when I left Alyssa alone? I felt my heart pound in my chest. I needed to get to Alyssa as soon as I could. Opening the door, I saw Alyssa standing in the hallway with a smile on her face. As her eyes wandered down my wet body, water beating down my toned torso, her cheeks began to flush red. "There's a phone call for you," Alyssa said, her eyes not being able to settle on one spot of me, so she shot her glance to my eyes again. "They say it's important. Sorry to disturb you." Alyssa handed my phone to me. "I need to. I watched as she chewed on her lips before turning to leave. I watched as Alyssa left my side quickly, and I pulled the phone to my ear. "Hello?" I asked the mystery caller. "Travis?" "Hello, love, it's me," the woman said cheerfully, but I failed to recognize her voice. I felt like it was a voice I had blocked from my memory for some reason. The voice giggled. "It's Harmony. How could you forget me?" Sickness began to rise within me. The bile stung my gullet as the memories flooded back to me. Harmony, my ex-mate. Why was she calling now? She exited my life a while ago, and I had hoped I would never have to see her again. "Your silence must mean you're stunned to hear me, Travis, baby," Harmony said. "I'm in town and wondered if you wanted to meet for a catch-up. It's been a while and, well, I really miss you." Haley's POV. "Derek?" I asked as I crept through the front door of the dark Heartpack home. I found Derek straight away, sitting in the kitchen as he stared down blankly at the glass of brown liquid he was holding. By my assumption, I could only guess by the quantity and size of the glass that it was alcohol. "Are you drinking? It's not even midday yet," I said, showing concern in my voice. I took the chair opposite Derek and sat, waiting for him to talk to me. "Yeah, and?" he asked sharply, his eyes darting to mine. "No one tells me when I can and can't drink. I'm the alpha of this pack." "I know," I said meekly, regretting even bringing the drink up. I hated when he drank. He became angry and cruel. I didn't need to handle Derek like this right now, so I thought I would share some news with him. "I went to meet Alyssa yesterday." "Why?" Derek asked coldly. "What is she to you now?" "My friend," I paused. "My best friend. She has been for a while." "Heh," Derek laughed. A sneer fell on his lips as his cold eyes looked at me again. "Do you always go around fucking your best friend's mates?" "Don't place this blame on me now," I said, a frown furrowing my brow. I felt the anger boil inside me. We are both to blame here. It takes two to do what we did to Alyssa. "Humph," Derek responded without care or even any acknowledgement in his actions. "What did Alyssa say when you met her?" "Not a lot," I said, shrugging my shoulders slightly. "She was off with me, very distant. It felt as though she knew something about us." "Of course she knows, you dumb bitch," Derek snapped at me. I could see the fire burning in his eyes. "Do you think she would go off and let the king mark her because she felt like it? She's getting back at us, at me." "Alyssa never mentioned she was mated to the king." I paused, feeling hurt from Derek's words. Part of me wanted to leave now, to separate myself from the pack, but I didn't want to leave Derek's side right now. "Alyssa barely said anything to me, never mind talking about relationships." "Haley," Derek exhaled slowly. I watched as he brought the glass to his lips and poured the drink into his mouth. As he swallowed, his mouth twisted as the burning sensation hit him. Must be whiskey. "You have no right to go meeting Alyssa behind my back," Derek continued. "You should have asked me first, so I could have prepared you on what you needed to say if anything suspicious arose." "I don't need your permission to do anything," I said, my tone firm as I responded to Derek's ridiculous words. "Alyssa is still my friend and I love her. I will see her whenever I like." "I thought we were a team," Derek husked. "Now you're going behind my back like you did with Alyssa." I released an exasperated sigh. I felt like no matter what, I wouldn't win Derek over with this, so I came up with a new approach. "Think of it this way, Derek." I paused, my mind whirling with ideas. "If I get close to Alyssa again, best friend close like we once were, then we could take Alyssa down from the inside, emotionally." Derek frowned at me, his eyes burning into me. "What do you mean? Are you talking crazy?" "No," I shook my head. "Let me get close to Alyssa again, build her trust, and then once she's wrapped around my little finger again, we can do anything we want with her." I knew this idea was cruel, but if it meant be pleasing Derek, then so be it. All right, Derek grunted. I think I see where you're coming from. He paused. Perhaps we should make Alyssa believe we are no longer together. Yes, I said as a rush of excitement hit me. I'll tell her we realized what a stupid mess we have caused and decided to break it off, make her think we care about her feelings. And now she is mated to the king. Alyssa won't really care about me any longer. Derek paused. I assume, so she could possibly forgive you. You are a genius, my love. I beamed. This is a solid plan. The best way to get to someone is become close to them and twist their feelings. Manipulation at its finest, Derek chuckled. And I know Alyssa is very easy to convince. I've known her long enough now. Derek's eyes were on me still, but they appeared to calm. He now looked at me with such love in his eyes. His gaze had softened, and I felt myself melt from his beautiful eyes. You know I love you, don't you, Haley? I know, I responded. And I love you too, Derek. I only want to be with you, Derek said, his voice calming to a gentle purr. You're everything I need. I feel the same, I smiled in response. This was the side of Derek I liked, the warm, romantic side of him where all he wanted was me. But I still want to separate Alyssa and the king, Derek said, his eyes beginning to burn a little again. I want to see Alyssa suffer as I rip her new mate away from her. He began to speak through gritted teeth, his jaw locked tightly as he spoke, which scared me a little. I get that, I paused, catching my breath. But how will you do that? A mated bond is strong, especially when marked. Perhaps I will kill the Alpha King, Derek muttered, his eyes glistened with excitement as he said this. Right in front of Alyssa, take his measly life away before her eyes. He paused and took his gaze back to me. And then she will have no one, not me, not you and not the king. No one to protect her. I felt myself shudder with fear. Derek couldn't possibly intend on murdering the king. Derek, this isn't the way. Murder is not the answer. Taking someone's life is not the way to solve this, especially someone of the Alpha King's status. You will be put to death for punishment. I don't want to solve it, Haley. Derek laughed cruelly, seemingly ignoring the importance of plotting to kill someone of such high society and stature. I just want to cause pain and heartache, like Alyssa did to me. I want her soul to be ripped out, crushed and thrown away. I will see to it that Alyssa suffers by my hands. Derek's POV. Can you imagine? I asked my wolf inside my mind. How much Alyssa will suffer if I take the life from her new lover? I paused, feeling the rush around my body at the very idea. Take away the most important thing in her life. I adored how my mind worked, to get everything I wanted out of those around me. No wonder I was fit for an alpha role. Usually I would agree with your ideas, if sometimes a little insane, Nova responded. But I'm with Haley on this one. Murdering the Alpha King will lead to your own death sentence. Heh, I replied to Nova. Don't take sides with her now. Haley doesn't know what she's talking about. You're both just afraid. Of what? Nova asked inquisitively. Afraid of our demise? If you die, so do I. I hadn't thought of it that way, but surely Nova would be willing to go with me if my life was taken. We were bonded until the very end. Stupid wolf. He should be more loyal than this. Selfish. I said coldly, I see it this way. If I can take on the Alpha King, show him for what he really is, a mate-stealing brute, then I would take over his role after he died. I paused, thinking my idea grew more genius by the second. The people would thank me for ridding the Dark Kingdom of an insufferable cheating liar, and they would repay me with their worship. Derek, Nova husked. A gentle growl simmered inside him. You're delusional. This won't happen. We will be tried and killed for our efforts. Even if we didn't manage to kill the Alpha King, we would still be sentenced to death for even attempting it. I thought you had more guts than that, I said to Nova, feeling pity for him. It's a shame I wasn't blessed with a wolf with more courage than you. It was beginning to become clear that Nova's dedication to me was non-existent. I'm leaving this conversation, Derek, Nova said, backing down. You need to rest. Your mind is not thinking clearly. In an instant, Nova disappeared from my mind and vanished from my thoughts, but I still knew he was wrong. The king deserved to die. Alyssa will suffer such pain, I spoke out loud to Haley. Her eyes had been set on me the entire time. Worry and fear swirled around her bright orbs. We must set this plan in motion. We? Haley asked. Her brows knotted in frustration. If you want to be responsible for the death of the Alpha King, then you're on your own, Derek. I'm not getting myself involved in treachery. Coward, I spat my words. I thought you loved me. I do. Haley responded with a shriek. I love you more than anything, but you can't expect me to do this. Her hands gestured wildly as she spoke. This is suicide. It's not suicide, I replied with a chuckle. It's victory. I paused. I will fight for the packs, the alphas who are being led by this king who only cares about his own gains. You don't know what you're talking about, Haley said, her voice calmed than before. Think about this, Derek. Alyssa is away from us now. We can be together. Stepping forward, Haley took my hands and pulled them to her chest. I felt her heart racing beneath her ribcage. Isn't that what we wanted? To be together forever? Yes, I paused, gripping Haley's fingers tightly. But that's an easy way out. Of course we will be together forever. Alyssa is out of the picture, sure, but I still want her to suffer. And then what? Haley asked. I live my life as a widow after you've been sentenced to death. I laughed. No. Why do you have this idea in your head that I will suffer in such a way? I paused, running my finger across Haley's cheek. Darling, can't you see? I will become the Alpha King, and you will be by my side as my queen. It doesn't work like that, Derek. None of this works as you see in your head. Haley's eyes began to fill with tears. I just want us to be together. I don't care about your status. And we will, I said soothingly. You're my forever. I caught a trickling tear down Haley's cheek, smearing it with my thumb. I admired her beautiful eyes, made more magical by the shimmer from her tears. I knew my plan would work, but little did Haley know I had also planned on breaking Alyssa down so much she had no choice but to come back to me. I would have both of them, Haley and Alyssa, as my mates. They would tend to my every whim whenever I needed it. Haley would be my Luna, while Alyssa would be my sex toy. She would pleasure me whenever I called for it. Haley would bear my children, the royal heirs, while I reaped the rewards from Alyssa. What do you say? I asked, my voice husking as I whispered into Haley's ear. I pushed her hair back behind her ear. Her breath shuddered from my touch. Will you be my queen forever? My one and only. Of course I would. Haley replied, and I could feel her weakening beneath me, my eyes on her lips as I leant in to kiss her. I'll do anything to make you happy. Good girl, I said, a smirk formed on my lips. This is why we're meant to be together, I said, my lips brushing against Haley's neck. You would do anything to make me happy, the perfect queen you would make. I kissed Haley's neck ever so gently, leaving a trail of my love across her soft flesh. My queen forever. We will start a family and be happy forever. A happy ever after. Haley trembled from my lips. The perfect ending for us. Travis's POV. Why now? I asked Clayton. It's been years. Why is Harmony bothering me again? It had taken me a while to get over her. I had finally rid my mind of her manipulative ways, and she was pushing herself back into my life again. Harmony was not welcome anymore. Clayton huffed in reply. She always was one for drama. Don't you remember? Harmony was always one to draw attention to herself. It just took you a while to realize her wicked ways. As I lay in my bed, I hadn't been able to sleep a wink last night. I placed my palm across my forehead, thinking about Harmony and why she had suddenly made contact. I was happy, falling in love, and ready to begin a relationship with a beautiful woman, even if it wasn't a genuine relationship. At least Alyssa was a genuine person. She must want something, I said, immediately coming to that conclusion. There's no other reason for her to want to talk to me. I won't let her use me again. Do you think you will meet with her? Clayton asked. After the way things were left last time, she hurt you. I can still sense the scars on your heart that she left. No, I said, a frown forming on my brow. Harmony used me. I can't ever forgive what she did to me. After all, the trust I put into her, she threw it back into my face. Removing my hand from my face, my eyes shifted to the curtains. Blowing in the gentle breeze from my open window, the light just enough as the sun rose for me to see the outlines of furniture in my room. Birds singing a cheerful song as the dawn arrived reminded me of that very morning that Harmony and I had first kissed. Closing my eyes, I began to relive moments with her. I remember it clearly. We were friends at first. Knowing each other from a young age, Harmony was the daughter of my Aunt Rose's close friend. She would often visit, bringing Harmony along with her. We would play in the garden in the summer. The warm sun basked us as we ran amongst the flowers and rolled around the grass. I recall Harmony's life, comparing it to the delicate wind chime which swung in the gentle breeze of the garden, soft and melodic. "You're my best friend, Travis," I remember Harmony telling me, laying a small kiss on my cheek. "I hope we never stop being friends." "And you're mine too, Harmony," I said with an innocent reply. I had always felt some stronger feelings toward Harmony, but never been old enough to process what they were. But I was delighted to have her around. Nonetheless, we will be friends forever and ever. As we grew older, we still remained friends. Seeing each other often, our activities went from innocently playing in the garden of my parents' manor to going out drinking and dancing. "I heard about your parents," Harmony said, her gentle voice the only thing I needed to comfort me. It was the day I had gotten news of my parents' death, the tragic road accident which had killed them both instantly. I remember sobbing into Harmony's chest as she held me tightly, her arms wrapped around me as she comforted me. "They loved you very much." "I love you very much," Harmony confessed. "I always have." I wasn't sure if it was because I needed the comfort or that I actually had emotional and romantic feelings toward Harmony, but I still remember our first kiss. "I love you too, Harm," I said. The words slipped off my tongue so easily, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders as I did. Those were words I had wanted to say for years now. My best friend had blossomed into a beautiful woman I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. "Let's get married," Harmony said, out of the blue and a spur-of-the-moment decision. "Merely days after my parents had passed. I want to be with you for the rest of my life," she said, her blue, gorgeous, shimmering eyes staring into mine. "I want that too," I said with a smile, running my fingers through her long red hair. "But I have so much to think about at the moment, what with becoming to heir to the throne and all." "It's what your parents would want," Harmony said. "They loved me. They would want us to be together." She paused, placing her lips gently onto mine. "To be your queen." I should have realized then and there that Harmony was using me. It didn't strike me as unusual that Harmony had been pushing for us to marry, just before I would inherit the Alpha King status. It felt like I had no room to breathe, so much worry on my mind. A fast wedding was the last thing I needed to consider right now. My feelings were far too messed up and all over the place for me to think logically. How did I know that she was using me? How was I to know that she had another, her bonded mate, who was in on the plot for her to marry me for my status? To steal my wealth and take everything from me when we parted. I was young and naive. I thought Harmony was my eternity, my life, but she made me out to be a fool. "It wasn't your fault," Clayton said, reading my thoughts as I relived those moments. "Harmony was a harpy who had plotted all along to get what she wanted from you. You had your moments of weakness." "I know," I said with a heavy sigh. "But it scares me," I paused. "What if Alyssa plans on doing the same, taking me for a fool?" "She isn't," Clayton said, a low growl simmering in his throat, and I could feel how protective he was to defend Alyssa. "We know what Alyssa wants, and it's not your wealth." I groaned, massaging my temples with my fingertips. "Why now?" I asked once more. "Why did Harmony have to call me? What am I going to say to Alyssa?" Clayton laughed gently. "Tell Alyssa the truth." He paused. "She has been nothing but truthful with you. It's what she deserves." "You're right," I said in defeat. "I need to tell Alyssa about Harmony, and tell that harpy witch to stay out of my life. She hurt me once. She won't do it again." Alyssa's POV. Today was the day, and the nerves were kicking in big time. I hadn't imagined I would feel this nervous for my first outing with Travis as his bonded mate. But now it was happening. I could feel myself twitchy and panicked. No matter how much Travis had prepared me for this, warned me about what would be thrown at me by being his partner, it still did not mentally prepare me for what was about to come. "It's going to be okay," Travis husked gently, his hand on my arm with reassurance as his warm eyes gazed into mine. "You look absolutely breathtaking," he said sweetly. Travis slipped his fingers down my arm and entwined his fingers with mine as he gave my hand a little squeeze. "I'm the luckiest man on the planet to have you by my side. I really mean that. You're incredible, Alyssa. I felt my cheeks flush warm from his lovely compliments. I had to admit, I felt amazing. I had chosen a simple red-style dress, short in length but still a classy fit. My blonde hair was pinned up, and my makeup was carefully applied. Every so often I would catch a scent of my perfume in my senses as it wafted by. I felt like $1,000,000. Thank you, Travis. I rasped my reply as a weak smile spread across my red lips. I just feel so nervous. I'm not used to being in front of loads of people. I'm usually the one hiding away at parties so no one talks to me. Travis smiled sweetly, squeezing my hand once more. Alyssa, try not to worry. This bookstore isn't a big deal, and there won't be many people there at all. I wouldn't intentionally throw you into the deep end. I want to ease you into this public stuff. He paused. But at any moment, if you feel uncomfortable, I want you to tell me. Okay? Okay, I said, taking a deep breath. I felt more relaxed already. Travis has a real good way of making me feel at ease, and I appreciated that. I could feel he cared so much for me. I trust you to keep me safe. My eyes studied the suit which Travis had decided to go with today, an elegant black piece with a white shirt and a red tie. Our outfits sort of matched, and it wasn't even intentional. Neither of us knew what the other was wearing today. It will be a breeze, I said, a warm smile shaping on my lips. I have to say, Travis, you look so dashing in that suit. I paused, feeling more confident by the second. I quite fancy you at the moment. I felt my cheek burn redder as I said these words, unable to believe I said them. Who was this woman? A burning desire for the Alpha King simmered inside me, ready to boil over. I told myself it was the suit, just the suit. Travis laughed. Oh, I fancy the sexy butt off you, Alyssa Richardson. He paused to take me in. His eyes wandered my body. We're getting good at this pretending to fancy each other, aren't we? He grinned, which couldn't help but make me smile. We sure are, I responded with a grin. After all, that's all this was. A false relationship and fake attraction. There's no way that the Alpha King would remotely find me attractive. He could have any woman he wanted with his looks and status. As long as we convince who we need to, that's all we care about. How are you feeling now? Travis asked. Ready to meet my Aunt Rose? I can't wait to meet her. I laughed. I think meeting Rose makes me more nervous than anything. I smiled warmly at the king. From what you've told me, she's been such an important part of your life. I want to make a good impression. Oh, Aunt Rose is going to love you, Alyssa. Travis beamed. You're an absolute delight, and if she loves you half as much as I do. He tapered off. You love me? I asked curiously. What did he mean by this? Was he starting to get into character already now we were nearing the venue? I do love you, Travis responded casually. In a friend sort of way, I love a lot of my friends, those who I can trust the most. Oh, I returned his smile. I thought that's what you meant, I lied, in my feelings. I felt somewhat disappointed in his meaning of the term love, only because I was pretty sure I was in love with Travis, in the romantic sense. He was more than a friend in my heart, but I couldn't let my feelings get in the way. The sooner this year is done, the better, I caught myself saying out loud, perhaps louder than I should have. Travis did not respond, and I wondered if he had heard me. The expression on his face, one of sadness and disappointment, perhaps told me he had heard me. Maybe I was hard with my words, but we both wanted this year to be over so we could get what we needed from this relationship. We're here, sir, Charlie spoke up, pulling the car in front of the bookstore. It looks a little crowded. I blinked, taking my eyes out of the window to the crowd in front of the bookstore. I think a little more people showed up than you imagined, Travis, I said, feeling my heart pounding inside my chest as I began to panic once more. No kidding, Travis responded, and I watched his complexion turn pale as he clocked the crowd too. I wasn't expecting this at all. I noticed at first a crowd of girls, mostly teenagers, but some a little older, forming a crowd near the front door of the shop. They seemed to be holding photographs and books, possibly for Travis to sign. A few of them even wore t-shirts with Travis's face on. They treated him like a rock star, it seemed. Oh, the fans, Travis groaned. Why today? Even the press are better to deal with than the hormonal raging teenagers. I shifted my gaze to the group of press on the other side of where the fans stood. Their cameras are ready to catch some footage of the king and his new lady at his side. Journalists stood gathered, their notes and mics ready for any interviews they could catch. What a nightmare. I felt myself tremble. A living nightmare. But I knew I could get through today. I had to. This was the first day of many where I had to be strong and convince the public I was absolutely in love with the Alpha King. Travis's POV. Leaving the car, I instantly took Alyssa's hand. I wanted to do anything I could to make her feel comfortable. Why are there so many people here? I asked my wolf. Who cares this much about a bookstore opening nowadays? Clayton chuckled. I think the real reason is not the bookstore these people want to see. It's you they want to see, Travis. Your Highness. One man with a camera waved us over, so I gently directed Alyssa along with me. It's great to see you. You look so happy. His eyes shifted to Alyssa. Who's this? Your new piece. Holding up his camera, he took a photo and the flash burned my eyes. I hope you had a big smile, Princess. I turned away from him, directing Alyssa away, and we found ourselves in front of a woman with a microphone, which she held directly into my face. Who is this pretty thing on your arm, then, Your Majesty? Keeping secrets from us now, are you? I could feel Alyssa's hand tremble beneath my grip, which in turn made me feel nervous for her. I was about to reply when I heard a soft groan come from Alyssa. Travis, she moaned, I don't feel so good. Turning, I managed to catch Alyssa as she fell. I took her in my arms and swept her up. Alyssa had passed out, probably from the stress of this crowd. I didn't care about them now. All I was focused on was getting Alyssa to safety. I began to run toward the front door of the bookstore, already spotting my Aunt Rose inside. Pushing the door open, Alyssa still firmly in my arms, I called toward Rose. Aunt Rose, please help me. She has fainted. Seeing my auntie at this moment made me feel some sort of innocent vulnerability. I knew she would help me. She always did. I was reverted back to a young boy, running into the safe arms of the woman who cared so much for me. Oh, dear Travis, Rose said, aiding me as I sat Alyssa down in a comfortable leather armchair. I noticed she was already beginning to come to consciousness again. What happened to the little lamb? I think the stress of the crowds and attention was too much for her, I said, my voice panicked as I could feel my heart racing in my chest. Do you have any water? Of course, dear, Rose said, and I watched her shift away toward the back room. I'll be right back. Alyssa, I said her name gently. Can you hear me? Running my hand across the side of her face, I ached to hear her voice respond to me. I can hear you, Travis, Alyssa smiled. What happened? You fainted outside, but I managed to catch you before you hit the deck. I leant in and kissed Alyssa's forehead. I'm so glad you're all right. Here you go, dear, Rose said, leaning down to hand her some water. Alyssa took the glass and began to sip the liquid softly. Take all the time you need to recover. You're a little early, you know. I know, I said with apology. Sorry, Aunt Rose. I wanted to be here in time for you. I was just so excited to see you. It's been a while, hasn't it, dear boy? It seems a lot has happened since we last met. She shifted her eyes onto Alyssa and gave a sly wink. You could say that, I laughed, knowing Rose would want to know all about Alyssa. I guess you can say the love of my life walked into my life recently. I paused. We haven't been together long, but I know she's my soulmate. I rang my fingers across Alyssa's face once more. Thanks for taking care of her. She means a lot to me. Oh, don't be silly, Rose laughed. You don't have to thank me. Anyone so important to my Travis is important to me, too. She paused as shifted her eyes to Alyssa again. What do we call this lovely girl? Alyssa, she said her name croakily. My name's Alyssa, she paused. Thank you for the water, it's much needed. She paused to take another sip. And it's an absolute pleasure to meet you, Aunt Rose. I've heard so much about you. Rose smiled. I wish I could say the same about you, dear, but Travis never tells me anything nowadays. She laughed. You wouldn't think that I raised the boy. He has very little respect for me anymore. I could tell by the twinkle in her eye that Aunt Rose was just pulling our legs. She did like to joke around a lot, even in her older age. Well, I'll make sure he tries better, Aunt Rose. Alyssa laughed in return. He owes you a lot. Ganging up on me now, hey? I asked with a cheeky smile. It felt amazing that these two women were laughing and getting along. They were the most important people in my life, and to think they have met and it's going off with flying colors made me feel incredible. You should get yourself outside and talk to some of your fans, Alyssa said, finishing her water. But you need me, I said firmly. I'm not leaving your side, Alyssa. I feel fine now, Alyssa replied stubbornly. You don't need to take care of me. Aunt Rose will watch me. She's right, Rose said, agreeing with Alyssa. Get yourself out there and socialize with those people who have come to see you. I'll take care of the little lady. Ugh, I said with protest. Very well. I really should make the effort. It would look poor on me if I ignored the press and fans. As much as I wanted to ignore them, I couldn't. It was my duty to entertain them, especially at a public event. I turned to Rose. But when you make hundreds in your sales today, because of me, you owe me pizza. Rose laughed. Her wrinkled eyes twinkled as she did. Oh, I'll buy you the biggest and best pizza you've ever seen if you bring me in some money, dear boy. She paused. Now hurry up and get your butt outside. As I left, Alyssa sat up in the chair, her eyes eagerly on me. I can't wait to see those girls' reactions when he approaches them. I heard her whisper to Rose in a giggle. It's really something, Rose said, returning Alyssa's notions. They lose all control of their dignity sometimes. It's hilarious to see Travis squirm. Alyssa's POV. I'm so glad my Travis has found someone to settle down with, Rose said to me. It was then I realized she had taken a seat by my side as we both watched the Alpha King interacting with the crowd outside. He's not had the best upbringing. I don't agree with that, I said, turning to Rose, and I flashed her a gentle smile. You've raised Travis all by yourself, and he's turned out to be a wonderful person. That's all because of you. Oh, Alyssa, Rose beamed. Her old eyes wrinkled once again, and I could see the happiness on her face. I'm so happy Travis has chosen you. You seem like such a wonderful young lady, and I can't wait to learn more about you. It was then I realized Aunt Rose had taken my hand and began squeezing me gently. It wasn't easy raising Travis all by myself. She paused. My husband passed at a young age, and we never had the chance to have our own children. Travis was the closest I had to a child of my own. I squeezed Rose's hand back, feeling for her as she told me of her loss. I'm sorry about your husband, I paused. That must not have been easy. Not particularly, dear, Rose said. She seemed distracted with her thoughts, and I imagined she was reliving memories of her husband in her mind. But I had a good family around me and friends. I'm lucky to have the support. I nodded. You deserve it, Aunt Rose. I paused and glanced around the store. And this bookstore is gorgeous. You must be a fan of books. Oh, yes, dear. I have always been a lover of literature. I'm often getting myself lost in a great story. Rose paused to take her eyes back to me. And now that I'm in my older years, I would love to share my passion with others, particularly the youngsters. Get them off the games and onto something where they can use their imagination. I felt myself smiling at Rose, my lips widening as I listened to her words. She reminded me a lot of my own grandma, who had passed away some years ago. They were both old-fashioned and set in their ways, so I felt a closeness to Aunt Rose. How is our Travis getting along? Rose asked, peering out of the window. I took my eyes outside too, and we both burst into laughter. The teenagers had surrounded him and appeared to be clambering to touch him. I think he's just fine, I said, feeling the warmth inside me build up as I watched my future husband outside. So how did you two meet, my dear? Rose asked, and I realized she had produced a pot of tea and 2 china cups from nowhere. She placed a lump of sugar in each before pouring the tea. Don't skimp on any details now. I want to know everything. I couldn't help but chuckle. Aunt Rose was becoming my new favorite person the more I got to know her, but I had to think quickly on my feet now. Travis and I hadn't talked about our first meeting yet, so I had to make something up and fast. I was Travis's. I paused to glance about the room for inspiration. It was then I spotted a duster on the counter where the cash register stood. Cleaner, I said, regretting my decision instantly. But I had to roll with this now. His maid, I guess. Oh, Rose beamed. A maid, did you wear the little frilly outfit as well? No wonder Travis found you irresistible. A mischievous giggle escaped her lips. Aunt Rose, you are naughty, I laughed. But nothing like that. I was new, and over time we got to know each other and fell in love. And now the maid is a princess. Rose paused as she spoke happily. Soon to be queen? She asked inquisitively with a twinkle in her eye. Yes, I replied coyly. At least that's what we have planned. Marriage is next on the cards now. We've been blessed with our mated bond by the moon goddess. Oh, I'm so happy! Rose squealed with excitement. I do love a wedding, and a royal one. Even better. What's this about a royal wedding? An unhappy voice sounded before us, causing both Rose and I to jump. I turned to look at the stranger standing before me. At first, as my eyes scanned upwards, she appeared to be all legs, until eventually getting to the hem of her short black dress, which hugged her slender figure perfectly. Her large breast strained beneath the fabric, and it was then I noticed her beautiful face. Though angry in her expression, she still appeared breathtaking. Long curls of flame-red hair cascaded across her shoulders. "Oh, Harmony," Rose said with a shrill yet joyous tone. "What on earth are you doing here?" "Did you miss me, Aunt Rose?" Harmony asked, removing her daggered eyes from my gaze as she turned to Rose. "It's been a while, hasn't it?" Her eyes scanned the bookstore. "What's all this about? Still interested in these fusty old boring books I see. Total yawn fest." "It has been a while, Harmony." I could see Rose was refraining from saying anything cruel back to this person. "I didn't think I would ever see you again." "Me too," Harmony said, rolling her eyes. "Yet here I am, back in this scummy old town." Her eyes snapped to me once more. "And you are? Did I overhear you're a servant?" "I was," I said, my jaw clenched as I also refrained from saying something to this vile woman. Whoever she was, I didn't like her, but now my life has taken a turn after meeting the Alpha King. "Harmony," Travis said as he entered the bookstore, leaving a group of screaming teenagers outside. They began to knock on the window to gain his attention, but he was focused elsewhere now. "What are you doing here?" Travis's tone was cold toward Harmony. I could tell she was someone he didn't wish to see, ever. "Oh, Travie, baby," Harmony smiled, her eyes wandering his body. "You look really great. You've bulked up since we last met." She paused. "I was just saying hi to Aunt Rose and asking who this servant is." "Servant?" Travis asked, his eyes burning as he stared at Harmony with discontent. "Harmony, this is Alyssa, my wife-to-be, my queen." "Wife?" Harmony said, her voice shaking. "You're marrying a servant? Disgusting." Travis appeared to ignore Harmony's comment. "And if you don't mind, I'm taking my queen outside to meet the press." He paused, taking my hand. "Are you feeling up to going outside now?" I smiled, my eyes focused on Travis. "Yes, I feel fine now." Standing to my feet, I felt Travis squeeze my hand with comfort. "Good." He smiled warmly at me and I watched his gorgeous eyes twinkle. "I want to show you off, make the entire world know that you are mine. My one and only, my queen." Harmony's POV. "I'll fetch you some tea, dear," Aunt Rose said, and I watched her waddle into the back room. Rose was still the same since I last saw her, maybe a little older and definitely rounder than I remembered. "Lay off the biscuits," I shouted through. "I'm watching my figure." I paused, muttering under my breath. "And so should you too." As I walked across one wall of the bookstore, I ran my fingers over the leather spines of the books neatly displayed on the shelves. These meant nothing to me. Reading was a complete waste of time. I would rather wait until the movie came out. Stopping, I pulled one of the books from the shelf and opened it. I scanned the pages quickly. "This isn't exciting," I said in a low tone. "There's no pictures." I carelessly pushed the book back into the place it came from. Rose had become boring in her old age, it seemed. As Rose resurfaced from the back room, upon seeing her face again, I was taken back to my younger days. The round, smiling face, her small, wrinkled-up eyes, and the way her hair was pulled up into a bun was a vision that took me back. She still wore the same loose floral dresses she used to, and comfortable suede shoes. I knew for a fact if I gave up and dressed like Rose when I was older, I would want someone to put me out of my misery. "Make yourself comfortable, dear," Rose said as she placed the tea tray down onto the small table by the chairs her and the servant were sitting in. "Hovering about like that makes me feel uncomfortable." "I'm just looking at your—" I paused, trying to think of something nice to say in relation to the bookstore. "Fascinating collection of books." Rose laughed. "You never were one for reading, were you, Harmony?" She paused, slowly lowering herself onto the leather armchair. Perhaps the odd fashion magazine. You've always been interested in that. Just like your mother. Rose paused, and I made my way over to her, taking the armchair on the other side of the small table. How is your mother nowadays? We barely talk now. She's okay, I shrugged, telling a lie. I had no idea how my mother was. I hadn't spoken to that shrew in nearly 3 years now. That's good to hear, Rose beamed, sliding a saucer toward me. I had no intention of drinking that disgusting black liquid. I'd rather have a glass of red wine. Drink up, Harmony! It'll put hairs on your chest! She laughed loudly at her own joke. It wasn't very funny. So tell me, Rose said, breaking the awkward silence. She must have noticed I had become somewhat distracted by Travis and his servant whore outside. I felt a rush of anger and envy shoot through me as I watched them holding hands, holding each other so close. Their body language told me they were deeply in love, and I didn't like it. Travis was mine. He always had been. I took my attention back to Rose and listened. What brings you back here after all this time, Harmony? I thought you were off to travel the world. I did that, I said, swirling the spoon around the tea. But I became bored. I had hoped to meet a millionaire on my travels, but it turns out there aren't many of those about. Not easy to meet, at least. Rose chuckled. You haven't changed one bit, dear. She paused to pour herself another cup of tea. How much tea did this woman drink? And I guess I missed my family, I said, convincing in my words. Well, the closest thing I have to family, I smiled, a warm gesture toward Rose. I had so many fond memories of my childhood with Rose and Travis. I didn't want to throw them away, especially after my own mother had disowned me. Tell her the truth, a voice hissed in my mind as she cackled. My wolf Sasha had appeared, her flame-red fur shaking as she awoke. Tell dear Aunt Rose why you came back to this miserable place. I can't, I said, in return to Sasha. It would break her heart. I need to worm my way back into her heart once more. It won't be easy. It will be worth it, though, Sasha said. Become part of the family again and push that little servant bitch out into the streets. She paused. How dare she come onto our territory, into our family? I'm seething, Sasha, I said coldly. I knew Derek Charlton was a no-good guy, and I can see what she left him. But I'm thankful Derek contacted me to let me know what her and Travis were up to. I turned my gaze back to the pair outside. Travis's hand laid gently on the servant's backside. That should be me he's with and showing off to the world. I should be his bride. I deserve the status and his riches, don't I? You do, Sasha said snakily. We both do. I will make sure I tear them apart, I said, a smirk forming on my lips. Travis will want only me by the time I'm done. I will see to it. Is everything okay, dear? Rose asked, breaking me from my trance. You seem a little subdued, but you have the biggest smile on your face. I turned to Rose, my smile widening. I'm just so happy for Travis, I said, lying to Aunt Rose. He was always like a brother to me, and it means everything to see him happy. As do I. Harmony, Rose responded, her cheeks glowing as she smiled. Our Travis has met his future queen, and I can't wait to see them marry. What a wedding it will be, I said as I turned my gaze to them again. One to remember. We won't let it get that far, will we, Sasha? I asked my wolf, who responded in nothing but a mischievous chuckle. Alyssa's POV. All eyes were on us, and I felt as though I was quickly becoming used to it. I had never had so much attention on me. Even being the bride-to-be of Derek, the alpha of the Dark Heart Pack, never drew me that much attention. Perhaps my nerves were beginning to settle on their own, or the fact that Travis had his arm around my waist was a comfort to me. I could feel the warmth of Travis's body as he pressed himself against me, and it felt as though he was trying to guard and protect me. My heart began to race in my chest. I had never felt so secure with someone in my entire life. I knew I could trust my life with Travis, and I wanted to spend the rest of my life in his safety. Tell us, Your Majesty, one reporter asked. Who is this fine-looking lady you seem so smitten by? Travis smiled as he turned his gaze to me, planting a gentle kiss on my forehead. This is my bride-to-be, Alyssa Richardson, he said proudly. We will be married very soon, and I can't wait to make her my forever. I felt a tingle run down my spine as Travis said those words, because I knew I wished he meant them. Travis pulled me tightly into his body once more. I love you so much, Alyssa. I love you too, sweetheart, I said in reply, enjoying how the Alpha King held me close to him at this moment. This is amazing news. The reporter cried, the Alpha King finally settling down. When's the big day? Travis laughed. That, for now, is between us two. He looked down at me once more and gave me a sly wink. But I assure you, when the date is revealed, you'll all be invited. We are ecstatic for you. The reporter beamed, his smile genuine. The Dark Kingdom will gain a new queen. We haven't had a queen since your beautiful mother, Lillian. Travis smiled, but I could see the sadness in his eyes as he remembered his mother. Silence fell on Travis now, and he began to direct me in the other direction. We need to interact with the fans for a little while, he muttered into my ear. Just take them with a pinch of salt. I was unsure what he meant by this. I'm sure everything would be fine. I angled myself so my lips met his ear. You're doing a fine job, I whispered. Even I believe that you're in love with me. Travis smiled as I spoke. I'm a pretty good actor when I want to be, he said in return. You're not so bad yourself. The ass squeezing is new, though. I felt my face flush with embarrassment, not even realizing my hand had wandered down to Travis' backside. Gosh, I'm so sorry, Travis. I couldn't believe how keen I was behaving around him. The moment was really taking over me. It's quite all right, princess, Travis said before kissing my cheek. You're doing a great job of acting like you're very into me. His wink caused me to melt. I felt my legs weaken as Travis's eyes were on me, gazing upon me as though I was the most beautiful sight he had ever set his eyes upon. Feeling lost in the moment, I could feel myself leaning further into Travis, my eyes on his lips as I felt seduced by him completely. Our lips met for a gentle kiss, and I heard the cheering of the press as cameras clicked, wanting to get the best footage for their headlines. The moment was ruined quickly, though. The shrill sound of a voice came from the crowd of screaming fangirls. Get off him, you stupid whore! The cries of abuse hurled at me from the girls. He's mine! You don't deserve him, slut! Another voice yelled. Fuck you! Chimed another. Travis deserves better than you ugly dog. The words cut me. I knew I didn't deserve their opinions, even if they didn't approve of me being the mate of their beloved Alpha King. Ignore them, Travis whispered into my ear as he pulled me closer. You get used to it, believe me. I shouldn't have to get used to it. Being called such cruel names purely for falling in love with someone was wrong. Was this worth it? The charade of being the Alpha King's future queen? What would happen at our wedding? Would one of these awful fans make an attempt to take my life? It was then I noticed the shimmering glint from the corner of my eye. I focused on the spot it had caught my attention from, and I realized one of the raging fans had pulled a gun from beneath her jacket. No, I cried out, watching as she pulled the gun up straight and aimed it at me, a wicked smirk on her face as she went to pull the trigger. Travis, I called out, and the next moments felt as though they traveled in slow motion. Travis heard my call, his eyeline followed mine, and he too noticed the gun, his face paled with fear. Alyssa! He cried. Get back! Pushing me aside, I heard the fire of the gun. A loud bang sounded, piercing my ears, and I watched as Travis protected me. In the flash of a second, Travis groaned before falling limp to the ground. No, I cried. Travis, can you hear me? I fell to my knees, my hands already in the Alpha King's blood from the gunshot wound. Wake up! Please! The screams of the crowd around me were a muffled blur now. My only focus was on Travis. I wanted to make sure he was safe and alive. I needed to take care of him. My heart raced in my chest as I began to panic. Help! I screamed out loud. Someone please help! It was then a figure rushed to our side, and I instantly recognized the coldness in her voice. Get out of the way. You're so useless. Harmony pushed me out of the way, releasing my hands on Travis as she leant down to pick him up. She held him so easily in her arms as though he weighed nothing. Her eyes on me in daggers. What's wrong with you? Can't you lift him? You really are good for nothing but a servant. Harmony's words cut into me, but I had survived enough abuse for today, so I let it wash over me. Travis was the most important person right now, and I feared for his life. I can't lift Travis because I'm a human, I said, knowing revealing my human identity would cause more trouble with Harmony. Harmony's POV. Mated to a human? I growled at my wolf inside my mind as I carried Travis, the man I was meant to be with inside the bookstore. I knew I should focus on him at this moment, to try and stop the blood which poured from the gunshot wound in his stomach. I felt his warm blood cover my hand as I held Travis tightly to me, and I hoped he would realize I was the one to save his life, not his lowly servant whore. "It's disgusting," Sasha responded, her tone sounding as furious as I felt. "Travis is fine, purebred werewolf. He shouldn't be lowering himself to the squalor of the world." "I agree," I rasped with anger. "If Travis wants to create an heir, then he needs the finest she-wolf to breed with. Not some pathetic human." I paused to set him down on the ground by the chair I was sat in, not moments ago. "It makes me sick the humans are even allowed into the Dark Kingdom." "Travis!" Aunt Rose cried, running to his side. "What happened?" Her eyes panicked as she made an attempt to touch him, but I slapped her hand away. "He needs medical help at once," I said firmly, my eyes on Rose. "I'll do it," Rose said. "Let me call the emergency services." "No," I barked, my eyes shooting to the servant girl. "Make the human do it." My words cold as I spat them at Alyssa. "She may as well make herself some use today. I will make sure Travis knows how incompetent she has been." I said inside my mind, "The human is not fit for Travis. She is beyond useless." I felt the seething jealousy boil inside me the longer I had to look at her face. "Yes," Alyssa responded instantly, pulling her phone from her clutch. "Right away, I'm on it." "She sounds so proud that she is able to operate a phone," I said to Sasha with a smirk. "I'll remember to give her a pat on the back later." Sasha returned my amusement with a cackle. "Humans are praised too often for the smallest of tasks. We can't make her feel too useful." "You're right," I said in return to my wolf. As Alyssa called for the ambulance, I gently shifted myself beneath Travis, head as I lifted it, nestling it back down comfortable into my lap. "I'm here, Travis," wanting him to hear my voice, remembering I was the one here for him. "It won't be long until we get you to a hospital. I'm here for you." I watched as Travis' closed eyes began to move. Now, his eyelids fluttering as they opened, gently gazing up at me. The color had left his face. He paled and was turning gray from the blood loss. He looked weak, which broke my heart into pieces. The Alpha King couldn't appear weak. It wasn't him. He had to be strong all the time. Once I was his queen, I would make sure he was fit and healthy at all times under my care. "Harmony?" Travis asked weakly as his eyes focused on me. "Is that you?" His hands carefully found mine. As our fingers entwined, "Did you save me?" "Yes," I said with a warm smile, squeezing Travis' hands. "I'm here. You're going to be fine. Hold on a little longer." "Thank you," Travis croaked before gasping in an extended breath as he struggled to take in any air. "Where's Alyssa?" I watched as his eyes began to scan the room for his pitiful human. "I'm here, Travis," Alyssa said as she fell to her knees on the other side of Travis. "Do you need anything?" Travis smiled, pulling his hands from mine and taking them to Alyssa's. I watched as their fingers entwined together and he began to pull her close to him. "I only need you." He rasped, "I'm glad you're here." "Pathetic," I growled to my wolf. "That little bitch is always meddling. Why won't she stay out of my way for 2 minutes so I can prove myself to Travis?" "Perhaps we need to get rid of her, remove her from the equation," Sasha chuckled. "Then Travis will be ours." "A possibility," I responded. "But then Travis would punish me. The elders wouldn't be so easy on me." I paused. "But I feel like everything could fall into place now. My own mate abandoned me, and now I'm back in Travis, life once again. We can pick up where we left off." "It's logical," Sasha said. "You were here first. That little slave should know her place. We should put her in her place." A wicked smirk spread across my lips, feeling smug as I thought of the endless possibilities of removing Alyssa from the picture. "It has potential," I paused. "But for now we bide our time, strike at the right moment. I just want to see Travi healed and well now." "Agreed," Sasha hissed. "We can wait to make the servant girl suffer." I continued to watch Alyssa and Travis locked into one another. Their emotional reunion made me feel sick to my stomach and I felt the acid rise in my throat. That disgusting human, her filthy hands all over a purebred man such as my king. Is my boy going to be okay? Aunt Rose appeared with a tray of tea. "Will this help? My poor dear boy." "Aunt Rose," Travis said weakly with a smile. "You're the purest soul." Alyssa stood to her feet and placed a sympathetic hand on Rose's shoulder. Travis is going to be fine. The ambulance is on its way. We just need to stay strong for him." She paused with a smile. "Thank you for the tea, Aunt Rose. I'll enjoy some with you later." It pained me to think this, but seeing Alyssa acting so kind and comforting toward Aunt Rose made me realize what Travis saw in her. She had a good heart, a kind soul with goodness in her. I didn't imagine humans to act this way, not toward our kind especially. Perhaps Alyssa was right for Travis after all. She would give him a good life and be a considerate queen for the Dark Kingdom. I tossed those thoughts aside, though, and began to track my mind back to where I wanted to be. That's a terrible shame, though, isn't it, Sasha? A woman good enough for Travis, but he can't have her. "I was beginning to worry about your train of thought there, Harmony," Sasha responded. "Remember how much we deserve Travis. He is ours." Alyssa's POV. "Okay, ladies, you both need to stop bickering," the impatient paramedic said, her face like thunder as she raised her voice to us. "Your arguments can wait. We have a man here who is about to bleed to death if we don't act fast." My eyes switched to the stretcher as two more paramedics took Travis away, heading to the back of the ambulance. Travis had dropped unconscious, and I didn't care what Harmony thought of me now, or what she had to say. I just wanted Travis safe and well. "So who is the next of kin?" "I am," Harmony said confidently, stepping forward. "Harmony Bridgeforth, who are you to the patient?" the paramedic asked, beginning to write notes on a form. "I am, Harmony paused to think. "An old friend." "Old friend?" the paramedic asked, raising her brow curiously. "Where are his parents, or a partner? No children?" With an exhale, I stepped forward to match Harmony's stance. "I am Travis Darlington's partner, his future wife, in fact." I shot a glare at Harmony, and I watched her back down slightly. "All right," the paramedic said, and I realized her name tag pinned to the front of her uniform read Debbie. "Wifey in the back of the ambulance with me," she paused. "I'll get your deets on the way." Debbie turned to Harmony. "You, go home. The party's over." "No!" Harmony squealed, pulling on Debbie's arm. "I want to travel with Travis, too. If he dies, then I—" "Please take your hand off me, ma'am, before I call the police." Her eyes slung to Harmony like daggers piercing into her. Harmony pulled her hand off the paramedic. "I'm sorry." Her voice struggled, and it was odd seeing her personality change so much now. She was definitely showing her weaker side. "I just want to be with Travis. We've known each other a long time." Debbie turned to me. "Blondie goes into the ambulance with me." She turned to face me and gestured for me, make my way over to the vehicle. "Red, you're more than welcome to follow us if you really want to." She paused. "But I can't promise you'll get to be with Mr. Darlington when he arrives." "I don't care." Harmony paused. "I just want to be there for him when he wakes up." Hopping into the back of the ambulance, the sound of Harmony's whining voice became quieter as I went. My main focus now was Travis. I wanted to be with him, to hold his hand every step of the way so he knew he was safe and protected with me. I didn't want Harmony meddling, and I wondered if there was any way I could warn someone that she could cause potential stress for Travis. "Take a seat there," Debus said as she came up behind me, pointing to the single seat situated by the stretcher where Travis lay. I sat down and reached for the seatbelt as I buckled it, my eyes on Travis the entire time. His eyes were closed as he appeared to be in a deep sleep. He had been hooked up to a machine, wires emerging from his chest as the sound of the shrill machine beeped with his pulse rate. The paramedics appeared to have bandaged his wound as quickly and efficiently as they could, but I could already see a red patch appear as the blood seeped through. "Can I?" I asked Debbie, reaching for his hand. "I just want to hold him." Debbie nodded. "Sure, the extra comfort may help him." I gently took Travis's hand and held it gently, stroking my thumb across his hand as my eyes remained fixed on his face, watching for any movement. "I'm here, baby." I said gently, "You're okay. Everything will be fine." Turning my eyes to Debbie as I watched her fill out more of her form, the ambulance had already pulled away onto the road, and I could feel it gaining speed as the sound of the sirens blared from outside. "Is he going to be okay?" I asked Debbie, waiting for a reassuring answer. "It's hard to say," Debbie said as she looked up at her form to me. "Gunshot wounds, especially this close to the heart, are hit and miss." She paused. "I just need some details from you, if you don't mind." I nodded, feeling a warm tear stream down my cheek as I squeezed Travis's hand tighter. I answered all of Debbie's questions, still focusing on Travis making a full recovery. I would be by his side every step of the way. Arriving at the hospital, I felt my heart race as I watched the paramedics pull the stretcher out of the back of the ambulance as quickly as they could. "He's losing blood fast," one said. "We need to get him to emergency now," the other ordered. Debbie turned to B, placing a sympathetic hand on my shoulder. "He's going to be okay," she said, her eyes genuine as they gazed at me. "Travis will have the best care. He's under some great medical professionals." She paused. "I'll take you to the waiting room, and from there you'll be informed every step of the way." I gave Debbie a weak smile as I placed my hand on hers, which still touched my arm. "Thank you, Debbie. You've been incredible." Debbie smiled back. "And don't let that other woman ruin it for you. I can tell she's trouble. You got this." She winked at me before jumping out of the ambulance. Debbie took me to the waiting room in a private part of the hospital. Of course, the Alpha King would receive the best care and the best rooms for his recovery. Taking a plush seat, I sat back and made myself comfortable. I knew I was no doubt going to be there for a while. As I was about to relax and lose myself in my thoughts, my attention was piqued when I heard the screeching in protest, which I instantly recognized as Harmony. She had followed us after all, and was here to ruin everything once again. I knew this was a woman I would have to fight to keep away from me, but I was ready to go down in battle. "What do you mean I can't see him?" Harmony screamed. "I'm his best friend. I have a right to be by his side." Best friend? If Harmony was so close to Travis, then why had he never mentioned her? "I want to talk to your manager," Harmony yelled. It was then she turned to me and locked her eyes onto mine. "What the hell are you doing here?" She turned back to the receptionist. "Why does this servant get to wait for Travis and I don't? I want to talk to my lawyer." I could tell this was going to be a long night.